to contribute to the society. And in order to develop that skill, because it's a social skill, it needs to be developed socially. So there needs to be mentorship, there needs to be opportunity to explore and experiment. So are your dogs getting all of that in order to build that muscle? Are they getting that opportunity to build that kind of social muscle? I think we left it off here. Now I'm going to quickly come back and check with you. Have any of you had the opportunity to think about this and maybe have any thoughts, any questions? You can type it if you want to. You can show your hand up. Anything so far? Nothing? Okay. If there's anything, please feel free to put your hand up and ask. If you put your hand up through the icon, I'll be able to see it better. The video, I may not see it. Now we look at some of the other components of it, and I would love for you to participate in this because I think this idea is new. I have not seen too many other people discuss these ideas, and so it helps me to build it based on your lived experiences. And so yeah, I'd love to hear more about it. Your personal experiences too. It doesn't have to be about dogs. So we come to the next concept, which is social coherence. Social coherence is the perception of the social world as structured, predictable, and understandable. I get this, right? I get where I belong. I get what are the rules of this community. What do I need to do and what am I not allowed to do? And I do get we all get socially punished for not following the rules of these unwritten rules. And socially punished meaning not legally punished. It's not that we're being put in jail, but we may lose friends. We don't get invited to places. People don't show up to help us, like those kind of things that may happen as a result of us not following certain rules. And so it's not as much not having those rules. I think a big part of community, it was really interesting. I had a conversation with my cousin who was talking about this, about a religion-based group. And she was like, I don't understand why people do that. And so we were talking about this idea, community often, almost every community often does this, right? Is we will provide this is the carrot, but our community has these rules, this, and this is the stick. And so if you look at parks as a community, for instance, we do have rules. We have rules around how you would treat a dog. If you were you would not be part of the community, for instance, if you chose to use a shock collar, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense from what I teach and all of that, but it doesn't even make sense from like the bigger challenge I have with sort of being okay with people doing that within the community is that the rest of you are going to feel very incoherent about it. These are rules. There are rules that we have agreed upon. We may not have written it down, but there is an implicit understanding of it. And here is membership where somebody is violating those rules. So I think I will get told off more than the person engaging in those kind of things. And so almost all, I don't know if any that exist without rules, all communities, all social groups tend to have certain structure, certain rules, and then there are certain roles that are played by different individuals in that. So there is an expectation of it. For instance, if you look at an elder-based community, there are ways you're allowed to talk to elders and there are ways you're simply not allowed to. There are things that, and that can change based on each family group. It's not set in stone, but there are things that one is allowed to do and one is not allowed to do. And so individuals need to then start being able to understand the rules and expectations, but also signals, be able to signal to each other that rules are getting violated, or rules, you're coming close to violating them. These are the boundaries, so on and so forth. And examples of that in the animal world are also, if you put it that way, it's not hard to imagine, right? Signals, greeting rituals, conflict avoidance signals, all kinds of communication that animals have. They're all part of social coherence. They're all part of creating predictability amongst members. So a classic example, for example, with dogs would be curving. So this is Nishi approaching the street dogs, and look at her curve. And notice how wide her curve is, right? She's almost like going off the mark. And then and the freezing. Look at how long she's frozen. That is slow. I love it. And I think this also has to do with predictability and expectation. I won't say that Nishi knew she was big, but she was definitely much bigger than the street dogs, bigger and more muscular. And she had a typical boxer stance, which is weight forward, which can be very intimidating for street dogs. This is not the way dogs behave and move. And she was blind in one eye, so she had to go up very close. And I don't think Nishi was aware of those traits of her, but she, I think, was very much aware of the affect she was having on the dog she was trying to approach. And she had understood how to signal to them appropriately in order for them to accept her and gain some predictability around her. So she gave them time to build this with her. And that's how she navigated that space. Now here, this is a very cute one. So again, this is Chiru and Flashy just getting too over the top, and Nishi comes and splits, and she's teaching the rules now, right? And she teaches Chiru the rules. She's like, Chiru, stop. So she splits, but you will see, and it lasts very short while, okay? So watch carefully. You will see her actually turn around and give Chiru this look with this, woman, what are you doing? Behavior. You can see the look on her face where she's like, you calm down. She's not telling that to Flashy. She's very specifically telling it to her group member, which is, we don't behave this way. So this is a cute one. Enjoy. So they're too much. Oh my God, that's just too much. So Nishi comes and she's like, girls, stop. Look at that look. I love it. Just stops them again. Here, another classic example of, a regulator who's coming in, a moderator who's coming in to draw boundaries. This is Chiru and Rita trying to get to know each other, and it's not really working for them. So you can see this is ritualistic behavior. Straight away you can see this, right? This is ritualistic behavior, but so is that. That's classic splitting. And then look at that. Attempt to regulate and return back to baseline. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Chaitu is sitting on the floor there. I don't know if you can see her. Almost camouflaged. And then they have to check on each other, right? Is everybody okay? So back to train. And that's Chaitu sitting back there. So I do want to come to this. Let me see. Does the nature of social coherence vary depending on the geographical area, local conditions, or is the social structure of dogs fundamentally the same everywhere? Do dogs adapt their mutual rules and social bonds to the specific place they live? I mean, 100% it is. It's very, very hyper local. And that's what I keep saying. So much of this is, it's not a cognitive universal skill. It's a social skill, meaning that it has to be socially developed through interaction within that specific group. And that is going to be so specific to the individual. So let's look at this set of examples. This is an interesting one. I don't know if I presented this to you guys in any other context. So this is Chaitu that you see, who's sitting, and there's a dog very close to the camera. You will see her in a second, and that is Chiru, my dog. Chiru and Chaitu hated each other, or rather, Chiru hated Chaitu, and Chiru's only sort of request or demand was, do not live right outside the gate of our house. You can live to the right side. So you see a bike there. So past that bike on that side, on the other side, on the back, anything is fine. Just don't live on the road in front of the gate. Don't live there. And for Chaitu, that was the only place she was willing to live. I need to live here. And so then they came to a deal, which was a very weird deal, which is Chiru spent a few minutes every day outside the gate, just a few minutes every day, a few minutes in the morning, a few minutes in the evening, maybe a few minutes in the afternoon, I don't know. And her rule was, when I come out of the gate, you will remain seated or lying down. That's the rule. And Chaita was like, fine, I'm okay with this rule. It's a very weird rule, and you'll see how weird it is. It's so arbitrary, so bizarre. But when you think about it, most cultural and social rules are arbitrary and bizarre. The kind of social rules that I am expected to follow here in India, you would not follow that in your country. And the kind of rules you follow in your country look bizarre to me. And that is the point of cultural rules. They are rules that we make up that are often unique to our group, and that often defines membership within my group. We do it this way, and we distinguish ourselves from you in that we do this different. And if you do it our way, you are part of us. I think that is the point. That difference and defining that difference is the point of social rules. And therefore, social coherence needs to be built very slowly. It's very, very specific. So let's look at how this looks. So you will see this is Chiru who's walking and Chaita. Okay. Now you should see how many ritualized behaviors. First of all, you notice that angle. Chiru is curving away. She hates this. She hates Chaitu. There was that very crisp curve. She goes in. Chaitu remains seated until Chiru walks in. Immediately Chaitu gets up. And that's the rule. Why is that the rule? I don't know. Does she have this behavior with any other dog? No. This was just the deal between Chaitu and Chiru. Here you will see that the daughter, so that's Chiru, Chaitu, and Yaya is the daughter. Okay. Now you will see that Yaya is just a teenager here and learning from Chaitu that this is the rule. So they come in to play, they come in hot, and Chiru is like, guys, I hate you, you know this. And immediately Chaitu sits down. And there's Yaya, okay, I remember, I'm supposed to lie down or sit down. But I'm a teenager. I can't remember things that well. And Chaitu is also quite young, but then immediately, oh, right. We are required to sit down or lie down. I think you can hear Chiru growling in this. He really hated them. I have a lot of footage like this where when Chiru was outside, it took me a while to realize that this was some weird rule between them. When Chiru was outside, the dogs were required to sit or lie down. Only the girls. Dude was allowed to do whatever he wanted to. You notice there's another dog back here who's sitting up. He was also allowed to do what he wanted to. It's only these three who were required to sit or lie down. So things to think about here. Are my dogs getting a chance to cross boundaries to know what is expected of them? Because this is so specific to the group, this has to be established fresh with each group, with each set of individuals, which means they have to meet them enough number of times to know what is and what is not allowed and accepted and appreciated. But more importantly, dogs also need to recognize that, every time there is a new dog I meet, there are apparently rules that exist between us. Dogs also need to recognize that these rules change from dog to dog. So there is a lot that their life experience can teach them. A very well experienced dog, for instance, Nishi was a dog like that who knew that every set of dogs has their own rules, their own sort of rituals that need to be followed, and she would take time with it. Um, she just had that. I don't know if she was just a dog who was good with it or she developed it over time through something. Obviously, I didn't do anything for that. But one thing that they did have access to is that both my dogs have always had prolonged, sustained access to the same set of dogs. So they're meeting the same set of dogs over and over and over and over so that they're able to establish this kind of dynamic, the rules and the expectations. And then they also, so that would go on for a period of time. Then we would move. So there's going to be a new set of dogs where you're meeting them over and over and over. So they had this go on repeatedly long enough to have picked up that pattern that, yes, this is what we're supposed to do. Maybe somewhere along the way, that's how they learned. I don't know. The other thing, of course, to ask is, do they spend enough time with their community, whatever their community is, to know what is expected of them and what they can expect of others? And so many times, this is the problem I have with dog parks, and I call it performative because we are taking dogs to these parks where they're not regulars, they're not able to do this in a slow and easy way. They're just a large group of people, a large group of dogs. Everybody is stressed out. Everything is controlled and curated. They are allowed to behave only in one way, and everything else is seen as, oh, this dog doesn't know social skills. And so when things are so highly curated, controlled, that's like going to a cotillion or a ball or something like that in my mind. Where do you learn how to navigate social spaces in something that is so performative? You don't. And so dog parks, dog play dates, dog boarding, these are not places where one gets their social needs met, is my opinion. So I'm going to stop here for a second and come back to you guys.